Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. In this video we will see the external features of the heart. In the last video we have seen the trachea, right and left principal bronchi and bronchopulmonary segments. Those who have not subscribed to the channel, do subscribe now. Keep watching the videos. In our channel we have introduced a new playlist, Important Anatomy in 50 videos. If you go through the 50 videos, you will be able to cover 60 to 70% of the exam questions. So do subscribe now, keep watching the videos. Now we will move on to the topic, external features of the heart. Here you are seeing a model of the heart with the vessels attached to it. If you see, the heart is a hollow muscular organ. It is situated in the middle mediastinum and it is covered by pericardium, and it's about the size of a clenched fist in the normal individual. If you see the measurements, apex to base 12 centimeter. So this is the apex and this is the base. So apex to base, it is 12 centimeter. Anteroposterior diameter 6 centimeter. Widest transverse diameter 8 to 9 centimeter at the end of the maximum inspiration in a radiograph. The transverse diameter of the heart should not be more than 1/2 the diameter of the thorax in the radiographs. Weight, adult male it is 280 to 340 grams, adult female 230 to 280 grams. Presenting parts of the heart presents apex. So this is the apex and this is the base of the heart, and three surfaces: sternocostal surface. This surface, the front surface is the sternocostal surface. Diaphragmatic surface, this is the diaphragmatic surface, and this is the left surface. Three borders: right border, inferior border and left border. So the student should note left border and left surface also are present. Apex, first now we will see the apex. It's a conical area. So this is the conical area formed only by the left ventricle. It is directed downwards and forwards and to the left. So this is the way to keep the heart in the anatomical position. Apex to the left, diaphragmatic surface on the palm of a hand with the base directed posterior. So this apex beat is present in the fifth intercostal space, about 9 centimeter from the midline. So that is the point to palpate the apex beat of the heart. What is apex beat? It is a forward thrust felt in the fifth intercostal space during ventricular systole due to the twisting of heart by the vortex-like disposition of the ventricular muscles close to the apex. And it is felt in the left fifth intercostal space about 7 to 9 centimeter from the mid-sternal line or just medial to the mid-clavicular line. In the newborn, this apex beat is felt in the left fourth intercostal space, just lateral to the mid-clavicular line. About 2 years, it reaches the adult position. So that's about the apex of the heart. Now we will see the base of the heart. So this is the base of the heart. Base or posterior surface, it is the most fixed part of the heart, somewhat quadrilateral in outline, directed backwards and to the right, formed only by two atria, 2/3 by the left atrium, posterior surface, and 1/3 by the right atrium. So that is the base. Boundaries of the base: above is bifurcation of pulmonary trunk, below is posterior part of atrioventricular groove. So these are the boundaries of the base of the heart. If you see the vertebral levels of the heart, this base lies opposite the bodies of 5th to 8th thoracic vertebrae. In standing position, it lies opposite to T6 to T9. So what is the clinical importance of this base? Distended left atrium in mitral stenosis may produce difficulty of swallowing. So the esophagus is posterior to this base of the heart, so it will cause compression of the esophagus. So the cause may be the distal or left atrium. The symptom may be the difficulty in swallowing. That is called as Ortner's syndrome, ORTNERS syndrome. Then what is the clinical base of the heart? It is represented by a line which extends from the auscultatory area of the aortic sound in the right second intercostal space to that of the pulmonary area in the left second intercostal. So that is clinical base of the heart, and this is anatomical base of the heart. So now we have covered the apex and base of the heart. So these external features of the heart is important for you. It may be asked as essay in the theory question, and it is kept in the practical exam. So now the right border of the heart. So this is the right border of the heart, rounded and convex, formed only by the right atrium. Extends from the right side of the opening of superior vena cava to the top of the inferior vena cava. This border separates the base from the sternocostal surface. So in this, if you see the inner part, a shallow vertical groove known as sulcus terminalis accompanies the right border, and it corresponds with the crista terminalis in the interior of right atrium. So that is about the right border. Now we will see the inferior border. This is the inferior border of the heart. It is sharp and separates the sternocostal surface from the diaphragmatic surface. It extends from the opening of the inferior vena cava to the apex of the heart. So this is opening of inferior vena cava, and this is apex of the heart. This border is accompanied by the marginal branch of right coronary artery and corresponding vein. Now this is left border. It is an ill-defined convex border separating the sternocostal and the left surface. It extends from the left auricle. So this is the left auricle. It extends from the left auricle to the apex of the heart with the convexity directed upwards and to the left. This border is accompanied by the marginal branch of left coronary artery, you can see. Now the sternocostal surface. It is directed forwards and upwards, separated from the base by the right border. So it is separated from the base by the right border and from the left surface by the left border. This surface is formed by all the four chambers: anterior surface of right atrium and its auricle, a part of anterior surface of left auricle, anterior surface of right ventricle, which is 2/3, and anterior surface of left ventricle. So this is the sternocostal surface. Here the right ventricle is open. In this surface, anterior part of the atrioventricular groove runs. You can see this is the atrioventricular groove between right atrium and the right ventricle. Downwards and to the right, between the right atrium and right ventricle, this groove lodges the right trunk of the right coronary artery and crossed by anterior cardiac veins. Another groove is present on this surface. So between this right ventricle and left ventricle, anterior interventricular groove passes downwards and parallel to the left border of the heart and meets the inferior border of the heart. So this groove meets the inferior border of the heart. This groove lodges the anterior interventricular branch of left coronary artery and great cardiac vein. This groove represents the anterior attachment of the interventricular septum. So we have covered the sternocostal surface. Now we will see the diaphragmatic surface. So this is the diaphragmatic surface of the heart. It is flat and faces downwards and backwards. It is formed only by two ventricles, 2/3 by the left ventricle and 1/3 by the right ventricle. It is separated from the sternocostal surface by the inferior border and from the base by the posterior part of the AV groove. Yes, now we will see the diaphragmatic surface. So this is the diaphragmatic surface. So this is the diaphragmatic surface. It is separated from the base by this groove where this blue color, that is the cardiac sinus that is running. So here that is the posterior part of the AV groove. It is the coronary sinus. Blue color is the coronary sinus. So in this surface, posterior interventricular groove runs. So in the diaphragmatic surface, you can see in the middle, posterior interventricular groove runs forwards along this surface and meets the apex. This groove indicates the posterior attachment of the interventricular septum. The following structures large in this groove. What you are seeing is this groove is the posterior interventricular branch of right coronary artery, middle cardiac vein, and also the anastomosis of interventricular branches of both arteries, coronary arteries. So we have finished the diaphragmatic surface also. Now we will see the left surface. It is directed upwards, backwards and to the left, formed only by mainly by the left ventricle and partly by the left atrium and its auricle. Left part of the AV groove, you can see left part of the atrioventricular groove is present in this surface. Largest the following structures. In this groove, can you see the trunk and circumflex branch of the left coronary artery? So left coronary artery is running, it is giving the circumflex branch also, termination of great cardiac vein and also commencement of coronary sinus. So now we have completed the apex, base. So this is the base, right border, inferior border, left border, sternocostal surface, diaphragmatic surface and left surface. Now we will see the atrioventricular groove in detail. Atrioventricular groove. So we have to start from here. It is this where this right coronary artery running, that is the right part of the atrioventricular groove, and this side is the left part of the atrioventricular groove, and here is the posterior part of the atrioventricular groove. Forms a C-shaped groove and it is deficient in front. So here it is deficient in the front due to the root of the pulmonary trunk. It is subdivided into anterior part. So this is the anterior part, consists of right and left halves. This is the left part of the atrioventricular groove. Right part of the groove. So right part of the groove runs downwards and to the right between the right atrium and right ventricle and contains the trunk of right coronary artery. Left part of the groove intervenes between the left auricle and ventricle, largest the trunk and circumflex branch of left coronary artery, termination of great cardiac vein and commencement of coronary sinus. Posterior part of the AV groove intervenes between the base and diaphragmatic surface of the heart, contains coronary sinus and anastomosis of right and left coronary arteries. The meeting point of the interatrial groove, posterior intervention. So this is the meeting point of the interatrial groove, posterior interventricular groove, and also the posterior part of the AV groove will be called as crux of the heart. So some important points now we should revise. Summary: heart presents following features: apex formed only by left ventricle, base formed only by two atria, right border formed only by right atrium, diaphragmatic surface formed only by two ventricles. 2/3 and 1/3 features: 2/3 of the base by left atrium and 1/3 by right atrium. 2/3 of the diaphragmatic surface formed by left ventricle and 1/3 by right ventricle. 2/3 of the sternocostal surface formed by right ventricle and 1/3 by left ventricle. 2/3 of the entire heart to the left of the midline, 1/3 to the right of the midline. So we have covered the external features of the heart in detail in this class. We have to see the interior of right atrium, right ventricle and left ventricle, and also the blood supply of the heart. These are all the very important theory questions and also the practical questions for the university exams. So we will continue with the next class. Those who have not subscribed to the channel, do subscribe now so that you will receive the continuation of the classes. Do subscribe now. Keep watching the videos. Don't forget to press the like button and share button of the video. Thank you.